Again, we're really excited to have everyone here. As I said last night, we're representing 22 countries. 22 countries, and that speaks volumes to the reach of Brokerbin, to the reach of the network that you guys have helped us build. We're really excited to get started today. We've got 24 hours to work on building more and better business. I'd like to introduce my colleague, VanDemmeltraadt. Rob is a senior account manager with us. He's going to take some time to, Rob's going to take some time to introduce our team and make sure to thank our sponsors.
And yes, we can't put these events on. Well, first of all, welcome. Hi, everybody. We can't put these kind of events on without people stepping up to the plate and helping us out. So I think the first and foremost is I'd like to take the CTDIT, Pascal, your team. We'd like to thank you for last night.
Round of applause for the dinner.
Thank you. Also the flash drive sponsor. So if you haven't grabbed a flash drive on the table, please do. They're our sponsor with that. We want to thank the Sunacon team, Joey and her team here. I'd like to thank you for stepping up to the plate. They're sponsoring the educational sessions today, so we want to thank you for that. Also, Mikkel and his Nordic computer team. Where are you, Mikkel? So they're sponsoring this afternoon's lunch. We definitely, so we want to give them a nod for that. So thank you very much, guys. Also, tonight we have a reception in a bar. And our sponsors for the evening reception and even the cigars this evening in the bar is the team from MFP Technology. I believe it's Mike and Jay. Are you guys here?
Are you guys here? Mike, Jay?
Make sure you guys thank them later on. So
they'll be here.
You'll also notice there's a gentleman walking around videography or videoing the event. That will be posted online as well. And we have a sponsor with that, and that's Network Hardware Supplies, Karen. There she is. Thank you, Karen. So, a team from Apoca, they sponsored our lanyards in 2013, so we'd like to thank the team from Apoca. I'm not sure if I can see them yet, but so we want to thank you guys there. And of course, we have a whole bunch of tabletop sponsors. And throughout the day, today and this afternoon, you'll see these tables around the edge. These are our tabletop sponsors. Please come visit them. And just going down the list, we have a team from ACN. We have the Conway team here. I see you back there with all the water. Bill from IQ Reseller. Again, the CTDI team. Apoca, Digital Next up here in the corner. Nordic Computer. And of course, Brokerbin as well as Ben Marketing Group. We have tables so you can come and see us as well. So again, thank you to all our sponsors for making this work. That's the first and foremost thing that we want to do is give you guys that recognition. So again, thanks. Maybe one more round of applause.
Yeah, round of applause for us.
Now you got a chance to meet me and Ben. There's more of us here, though. There's a team from the Broker Exchange Network, and I want to take a moment to introduce most of them to you, or all of them to you, so you can get to know them firsthand. So first and foremost, I'm going to ask Renee Keel. She's our Sales and Marketing Director. Without Renee, these things don't happen. She organized them all, so thank you, Renee. Mr. Wayne Jahansky, he's our Chief Information Officer. Back on the back wall, I see Mr. Bob Welsh, a Senior Account Manager. Mr. David Zill. From our BMG team, our BIN Marketing Group side, we have Mr. Rick Wasser, his partner in crime, Mr. Wallace Duke, and our support members is actually our product support manager. Many of you guys may have talked to them or worked with them, Mr. Ashford.
Let's get started. As I said, our whole goal for you guys here at this event, we're really excited about representing 22 countries. We worked with you guys for so long, and we can't be happier with the group of people that we have here. With that, I kind of want to go over some of the things that we've been facing, not just in the last year, but some of the challenges that we face on a regular basis. This stuff look familiar to you guys? Trade regulations, increased competition, shrinking margins, and firms failing to cope. How many of you guys have been in this business for a year or more? Just raise your hands. 5 years or more. 10 years or more. So is any of this stuff new to you guys? No, you've seen it. You've dealt with it before. So let's ask the question, we talked about firms failing to cope, why do some of these firms fail? I mean, yell some things out. What are some of those characteristics of our friends that we don't see working with us anymore? Complacency, does that sound familiar? Some of those things, I mean, words like complacency, stagnancy, poor positioning. I would venture to guess that a lot of the companies that we don't see standing here with us today have really put themselves in a position to fail. But like I said, we've all been through this, right? We've been through the ringer with some of these things. We've positioned ourselves to do the opposite, successful. So how do we describe success? How do we describe the characteristics of you guys? Of you guys that have weathered this storm and stayed here and gone round for round with the economy, with some of these trade regulations, with this increased competition. Change. Evolution. Continuous improvement. Evolving. You know, it's just so important. Has anyone ever heard of the term digital Darwinism? Digital Darwinism is when technology and society evolve faster than our ability to evolve. How many of you know companies that just couldn't keep up with the industry, that just couldn't keep up with the business? They're like, no, we're fine. We'll take advantage of the things that we have in place. We've been doing good for 20 years. We don't need to change. Where are they at now? They're not sitting with you. Now, I'd like to invite my colleague, Rick Wassmer. Rick, you used to work for CCNY in New York. He's been where you guys are at now. He's been in this business. He's weathered those storms. And Rick, please tell me about that story you were telling me the other day.
Yeah, true story. In the late 90s, the rack mount chassis were very popular, rack mounting systems. We had a potential contract to Science Applications International as a contract to the Navy to rack mount servers. Sun Microsystem 1U rack mount servers in all of the Navy submarines. And our challenge at that time was actually putting a CD-ROM and a floppy drive in this 1U chassis. There was not a chassis that existed in the world, therefore we did not get the contract. 1 year later, standard chassis worldwide.
Has this happened to anyone here in their business? I mean, have you ever not been able to cope with that change? No, you're still here. You've been successful. We've done that, right? So then let's go on. How do we succeed? How do we do more and better business? We have to ask ourselves a few things. You know, what are we currently doing to do this? How can we do those things better? And what can we be doing differently? You know, I want to challenge you guys to ask yourselves this question. Are you getting the most out of your assets? And when we talk about your assets, we're talking about you, individually you, your team. Are you getting the most out of your time every day? Your inventory investments, that's an asset, right? A lot of you here are networking to find that source of that the gear that you're looking to buy and move on to your clients. Are you doing that in the best way possible? Are you getting the most for those investments? Your clients. How many of you look at your clients as an asset? Nobody? Somebody does, right? You guys all should. These guys pay your bills, they write your checks, they keep you in business. That's an asset. So how do we improve that? Brokerbin.com is an asset. We want you to get the most out of us as well. You know, going on, how do we optimize the value of your assets? We talked about asking the question, who are your assets? How do we get the most out of them? Well, in order to do that, we have to analyze each one individually. How do we analyze? Well, we ask questions. And those questions are going to lead to solutions, opportunity, and change. And then also, like we said, the goal for this event is doing more and better business. Now, I've got a company that I dealt with in the U.S. And I came to them and I said, you guys, why don't you sell on BrokerBin? You sell to resellers, that's what you do. They wouldn't list any gear. Their biggest problem that they had was having too much stock come in. They had a surplus of stock, but they only dealt in the telecom industry. So they had computer components coming in, they had servers and networking gear coming in. They never stopped to look at that stuff as an opportunity. So I said, well, why don't you sell this stuff? Why don't you flip it? Why don't you take the computer gear that you have coming in and give it to somebody that deals in that type of product? If we don't stop to analyze the things that we have in front of us, we're never going to see those opportunities. Recently, I had a chance to visit their office. They've got people that deal in every niche in this market because they've taken every different opportunity and capitalized on it. And furthermore, what they've done, we talked about BrokerBin being an asset. I went around to every single person that uses BrokerBin at that company, and I guarantee I saved them at least 10 minutes a day. So they've got 40 individuals that use BrokerBin. I talk to everyone individually. Do the math. 10 minutes a day, 40 people, that's hours and hours and hours and hours of lost revenue because we didn't stop to ask the questions. How do we get the most out of our time? How do we get the most out of BrokerBin? How many of you guys have read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki? You guys have read it? Do you remember the story about Well, I'll preface this. Robert Kiyosaki is a very successful businessman in the U.S. He's written books with Donald Trump. The story, or the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, challenges you to look at liabilities and assets differently. But in the first part of the book, Robert is a young boy. He's working with his mentor, his friend's dad. He's looking for ways to make money. And how he did that was he went to the store that he worked at, and they actually would take the old comic books that at the time would cost the kids in the community 10 cents a comic book, and that's a lot of money for a little kid at the time. And they would rip the page in half and throw the comic book in the trash. Well, Robert, when he was a boy, thought, well, how can I turn this into money? Somebody's trash, right? Most of us in this room take people's trash and turn it into money every day. Every single day. And I've heard so many stories about this, about taking someone's trash and turning it into success. But what Robert did was he created a library with all these old comic books. And he would charge the kids in town, in his neighborhood, 10 cents for 2 hours to come in and read all the comic books. He took somebody's trash, created this library. Now instead of that kid having to spend 10 cents for every comic book he wants to read, he spends 10 cents and gets to read every single one every month for 2 hours. Robert's now made money and helped his client. So again, going back to your clients, helping clients, but I think there's comic books in front of all of us every day that we don't see because we don't take the time to ask those questions. So, I want to talk to you guys about a couple of things. So we talked about asking questions about things that are in front of us every day. What I want to look at is a couple of things that we use on Brokerman and that I hope you use that we've never looked at in a different light. The first is the bill of materials tool, and then the supply and demand. The bill of materials tool, I know it's hard for you guys to see. How many of you guys use the bill of materials tool? Just a few of you? What it is, how it's set up is, say you've got more than a couple of parts to search. You can load an Excel file into the bill of materials tool and get a list back of all the vendors that have, say, 9 out of 10 parts or 8 out of 10 parts. It was really set up as a buying tool to help you source product more efficiently. It's set up to help you buy from a couple of vendors rather than, making a phone call on one product at a time. So most of you use that for buying, right? Those of you that use it? Okay. Has anyone ever used this to sell? Well, what do you mean, Ben?
What do you mean, Ben?
What do you mean, Ben? So what you can do, and back to that company that I dealt with in the U.S. that had all this gear coming in, they didn't know what to do with it. Use the bill of materials tool. Aren't these people, for a company that has very low cost on their incoming product, they can sell to resellers? Aren't these all clients? If you load a list of inventory and that someone else has in stock that you have incoming, who's better to serve? Who's a better client than somebody that already stocks and resells those products? So you can flip those pallets of gear that aren't in your wheelhouse, that aren't in your main product base. Like, for instance, that company was telecom. So their incoming pallets of computer gear, they could just put into the bill of materials file, make 3 phone calls, flip it, and allow that reseller to make fabulous margin on gear that they already deal in. I challenge you guys to look at this in your day-to-day business and apply it. I'm sure there's plenty of opportunities for stuff that maybe you don't utilize or that you don't know, what a good market should be for. So next, let's talk about supply and demand. You guys have all seen this, right? Who uses this? You all use it. Come on, you guys look at this. It tells you who has looked for the parts that you have in stock. So you list your stuff on Brokerman, and it tells you who searched for it, how long ago they searched for it, if they had it in stock. You guys get phone calls on this all the time. And I encourage my clients to know, if you see somebody searching your inventory on a regular basis, especially if they're searching for it multiple times, don't send an email. Reach out to that company. Hey, this is who we are. This is what we do. We do the same kind of business. You guys look for our products on a regular basis, but we've never had a chance to work together. Why is that? Build that relationship, because that's what we're all about. Building the relationships and allowing ourselves to do more and better business. It's a sales tool, traditionally. Has anyone ever used this to purchase? Well, what do you mean, Ben? Well, what I mean is, how many of you have run into a case where, and I'm sorry, suppliers, but I'm going to tip my hat to this, run into the case where somebody's the only person with something in stock? Everybody. Everybody has. And you make that phone call, your target price is like, say it's fictionally $900. Say it's $900. But the person's like, no, I want 1,000 for it. I'm the only one in the industry that has it. You're going to walk out spending $1,000 because you want to make your client happy. What you can do is now, like I said, don't hate me, supplier. You can go into the supply and demand information for that part. You can see how many times it's been searched. When you hear that I'm the only one that has it, it's 1,000, this is when you say, okay, well, that's great. You know what? I haven't seen it searched in 3 months. Nobody's looked for it. I've got a client for it. Blow the dust off that baby, give it to me for $900, and let's get the deal done. Now you've got a leg to stand on. You have that much more information at your fingertips as a buyer. So using BrokerBin to be smart, to be more efficient, to help yourself do more and better business. Now I want to move on to talk about BrokerBin. And we talked about the tools, but why is BrokerBin an asset to you? BrokerBin.com, like I said, is a resource for all this information. Pricing, availability, market intelligence. And that information is going to allow you to make your assets, to get more out of your assets, to make yourselves better, to make your team more efficient, to decrease the amount of time you spend doing this. I mean, the main reason a lot of my buyers use BrokerBin on a daily basis is because it saves them time finding you guys, finding the suppliers. Your inventory investments. Is that product going to move? Am I going to have to put it on my shelf for 6 months in order to make a whole lot of margin? Or can I move this next week and make a little bit less on it? Is it a smart time to buy it? And then your clients. If you're more efficient, your clients are more efficient. You know, if you're working faster, your clients are going to have that pricing information faster. You can quote them accurately. All those different things. You know, selling the product, guys, is barrier to entry. That's minimal. If you can deliver the product, that's the quality that they're expecting, at the price they expect, that's barrier to entry. But how are we going to do these things better? How are you going to save your clients time? How are you going to save your clients money? That's what's going to bring you that longevity. So the question then is, if we're going to focus on our clients and making them better, how do we harness this information? And that's where I want to bring in my colleague, Rob VanDemmeltraadt.
Nice job, man. Fantastic. Thanks. So what we're talking about here is improving and optimizing your own assets, but really, how do we apply towards our clients, and how do we improve theirs? Because that's truly what we need to talk about. How can we be a more valued asset to them? Who are your clients? Are they brokers? Are they resellers? Are they end users? I heard somebody even this weekend say it doesn't matter, you know? But whoever they are, you know, the question is, how do they currently reach you? Meaning, are they calling you? We hope they are. Are you outbound calling, cold calling? Are they coming to you from your website or your online catalog? You know, how do you want them to reach you? Isn't that the question? But I think that the more important question is, how do they want to reach you? And I want to tell you, I'm going to take a moment to talk about a story. One of our customers in North America, a BrokerBin member, he has a large MLA, maintenance level agreement or service level agreement with a big financial organization. And what they have to do is supply all the IT replacement parts or consumable parts for these organizations, a couple thousand locations. Good business. They thought business was going extremely well. POs flowing in every day, taking care of these things, shipping up in a timely fashion. In their review, they got called for a review, these guys, and they were walking in there thinking everything was hunky-dory or everything was great. But when they walked in there, they were hit out of left field. And why? Is because their organization said the relationship isn't working. And the guy goes, well, why not? He goes, our IT reps who are doing these replacement parts are working after business hours. Meaning they have to go in there when the bank's closed and put and fix all these things or apply all these things. And so what they found, there was no communication between these field reps and the supplier. They couldn't communicate the next day, or there wasn't some form of ability for them to see what they have available to make sure that they're getting the right part. So, I mean, we ultimately help them build kind of a catalog to help them, but I think more importantly, the story reflects it's how did they want to reach you? I mean, how many of your customers would tell you that it's not working? I mean, these guys are fortunate, honestly.
And that's the most important point right there about that story is how many of your clients actually stop and say, you're not doing a good enough job. What can we do together to do this better? And that speaks volumes to that company's relationship with their client. I mean, I'm sure you guys have great relationships with your clients, but most people I know, me included, if it's not up to par, if it's not satisfactory performance, I'm looking elsewhere. So every time you're not hitting the mark on this stuff, you're really sending your clients elsewhere. You're giving them a reason to look somewhere else. Sorry, Rob.
No, absolutely, he's right, he's dead on. I mean, it's fortunate that they have that. You know, the question that we challenged you earlier is, why do firms succeed? You know, why do they succeed? We talk about improvement, we talk about changing, we talk about evolving, we talk about capitalizing on opportunity and diversify. The question is, are you doing those things? You know, how do we do it better? Isn't that the question? And then I think, here's one thing I want to say to you. Your clients are asking the same questions. They simply are. You know, can we be more efficient? Can we reduce costs? Can we increase profits? You know, and I think here's the biggest, scariest question. Are we buying from the right supplier? That's a question you always have to ask yourself every time. And you have to keep on reinforcing that relationship and keep on providing that service back to them. And you know, a lot of you guys, you know, been with Broker a long time, and you've seen us evolve. And we try to listen very carefully to you guys and make constant improvements to make the service the better, because that's what our customers are. So, and you know, one of the things I want to talk about is the reason we're hammering on this is we recognize there's an 80-20 rule in this world, where 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your customers, right? And maybe that's, you know, maybe it's not even that big, but the question is, if you don't evolve, if we don't improve, what should we expect? If we expect that, what happens when that one customer goes down? What happens to our revenue channel? Is it going to stay 80-20? Is it going to be 90-10? Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, you can't have all your eggs in one basket, especially now. I mean, the reason we're challenging you guys to think about this is I've got so many clients. You know, a voice of the customer is a huge thing at Broker Van. We really do listen to you guys because we're talking to you on a daily basis. We've got 3,500 companies that we work with all over the world, and everyone's unique. Everyone's got different concerns. Nobody can afford to lose clients right now. So the reason we're talking to you about, look at what you do. How do we do it better? Can we take the things that we're good at and turn them into something more productive or new opportunities? Is because nobody can afford to drop any eggs right now. And everyone's looking to take them out of your basket. We can't have you going to 95.5. We can't have you go to 100% from one company. And I get calls every single day. The market's shrinking every day. Like I said, there's increased competition, and you guys got to figure out, and we're working with you to do it, how the heck are we going to stabilize our own niche in the marketplace and look to grow on that? But we certainly can't be dropping any eggs out of our basket.
I think one thing Ben told me about a month ago, he used an analogy, and I'll let you say this. He talked about a garden.
Yeah.
Ben, you want to?
So the analogy is, and we talk about this, you know, from time to time at Broker Van, we've said before that your guys' success is parallel to our success. When we have a record month, you guys have a record month. When we're successful, you're successful. When we're growing, you're growing. And I can go on and on with the analogies. But the analogy that Rob was referring to was, we're harvesting from a garden. Our clients, you guys, are like our garden. If we don't take care of it, we don't help it grow, we're going to starve. You know, we use that for sustenance. You guys get our salaries. We're not too naive to know that, just like your clients do. So you guys need to take care of your garden. Be it dead. You guys need to take care of your garden. Water those plants, make sure they grow, so that you can harvest them, and we need to do the same. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship, but we all have to get better, and that doesn't give us a pass. We're trying every day to do things better for you guys based on what you're telling us, based on the voice of the customer.
I want to talk a little bit here about the specific challenge we all face. It's the internet. I mean, we all know the internet's changing our industry. I mean, there's just so much information out there. It's huge. And the challenge, part of the challenge is what is your online presence? I mean, it's important. It's critical in this day and age to have an online presence. I mean, because there's just so much information out there. You know, one of the things I'll say is your clients or customers are industry professionals. If they're brokers, resellers, VARs, maintenance companies, you know, they have to support these huge networks. They could be data centers. But don't make a mistake of this. They are part number intrinsic. And that's what we do. That's what you guys do. You're a part replacement industry, and that's what they're searching for. And so what I mean by that is when they type in something on Google, who comes up and why? Okay? I mean, this is a challenge that you faced, you know, because everybody, I use Google. You use Google. Your customers, we have to assume they're on Google too, or Yahoo, or whatever search engine, looking for things. Okay? And sometimes we all want to sell the big server, but you know what? It's all those little pieces that they look for too. And I'll show you an example here in just a little bit, but you know, I can't stress to you that everybody searches in your target market are part number intrinsic. I want to show you a couple examples. There's a good online catalog. A good online catalog will fuel your assets. You know, these assets we talked about, yourself, your sales team. It will fuel and funnel right to your sales team if it's done well. And of course, a poor online catalog can be harmful for your business. I picked an example, and I use this one as a poor example. And the reason I think it's a poor example, not because it has a good image there, so I apologize if this is somebody's website, but here's a few things I don't like about it. First of all, the call to action on the page, what am I supposed to do here? You know, is it save to a wish list or add to a cart? I want to buy it. But here, and up here, you'll see there's 0 in stock. So what does that tell you? I can't buy it, there's 0 in stock. Or he has 15 days for a pre-order, available for pre-order. What does that tell you? Okay? In addition to that, here's the retail price, and here's his sales price. He's giving, first of all, you can't buy it. He has 0 inventory. I'm not sure how to buy it, and he's telling you what the price is. So you basically give him everything he needs, and he's going to go to a competitor and buy from them. And he's going to use that price point as leverage, most likely. So this is, I just chose, not because, again, it doesn't have images and text specs, but just those subtle things right there just drives that traffic away. So if this guy comes to your website, what is he doing? He's backing up, going back to the Google results, go to click on the next guy. You know, a good catalog will offer better retention. I mean, it's your best employee. It's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay, you don't have to pay taxes or insurance on it. It's going to be there, and it's going to be out there for any of your existing clients. So it's going to help retain those existing clients. Conversion, the ability to convert, upsell, cross-sell, generate new leads if it's marketed properly, and assist you in getting involved. Here, let me show you an example. Here's just an example of a page that I really like. And the reason why, there's no other distractions on this whole page. What am I supposed to do? Okay? Here's my product, here's an image, here's technical specs. I have some similar products there. It's simply about a request for quote. And the button stands right out. So there's no mistakes. I exactly know what to go here. Okay? So if I take a look, oh, it's a one-click request for quote form. That's simple. You know? I chose this one, and it can be e-commerce, but this one is so simple. You put your name, email address, phone number, whatever message, and what happens? This request gets fueled back or funneled back to your team that quick. Not multiple clicks. Every time you make somebody click, you know, and maybe Rick can tell me, every time you make somebody click on the internet, or an extra click, how much traffic do you lose?
A lot. I don't remember what the percentage is, but
20%.
20%. So if you make someone click 2, 3, 4 times, you're going to start losing 20% of that traffic every time. Keep it simple, keep it easy. Again, you guys need to impress. You know, you need to impress the part intrinsic world. These guys are IT professionals. They know what they're looking for. And that's what we're trying to do. Keep it simple. Or that's what they're doing here. You know? So again, a good catalog will funnel and fuel those assets back to you. And if it's, you know, if it's really marketed properly, you get these kind of leads. And what I mean by marketed properly or effectively, there's a challenge, and I know our next speaker is going to be talking about marketing on search engines. But if it's a pay-per-click marketing, or if it's organic marketing, or if it's cold calling or emails, however you get your customer to there. Now here's an example. Many of you guys may know this company. This is a real lead that came through one of the catalogs that we help support. Northrop Grumman. Anybody know who they are? How would you like to get this business? You know, and I'm sure they have contracts with many people out there, but here's a guy at Northrop Grumman, I think it's a sun power supply or something, looking for a little sun power supply. You know, is it off a Sunfire server? I'm not sure, but just that little piece gives you that lead. It funnels and it fuels back to your team, because if this falls in the right hands, and many of you guys here, what do you do with that? What are you guys great at? Building relationships, opening the door, discovering, peeling apart that onion, and winning this kind of contract. Now, not all leads are like this. You know, so, and many of you guys have catalogs, some are good, some are bad, right? But again, it's the opportunity to get your assets involved. So this is, you know, I love this example.
And to that point, I mean, we were talking before about dropping those eggs and not meeting those opportunities. Northrop Grumman's a Fortune 500 company, right, Rob?
Yeah.
Huge. Fantastic client, looking for some little $50 part. That tells me somebody somewhere is not doing their job. Somebody somewhere is letting them go out on the open internet and look for suppliers. That guy should never have to look for somebody to source product from. And we don't want your clients to look somewhere else, but we want you to capitalize on the people that are dropping the ball. And somebody dropped the ball for Northrop Grumman.
I can guarantee you this, if you're not listing it, if you're not displaying it, you know, you're simply potentially sending your clients somewhere else. And the truth of this, the supplier may be better, bigger, faster, he may be sitting right next to you right now, you know? I mean, that's the truth of it, isn't it? So, again, going back and taking a look and taking care of those assets, because I think the question we posed back earlier, are we buying from the right suppliers? That's what the challenge is today. A good web-based catalog is going to help make your customers feel more comfortable, more confident, just more efficient and easier to work with you. So you know, I guess I'll leave it off back to Ben with that, but you know, that's really the question that we want to pose back to you and challenge you guys a little bit. You know, see these things going around. Talk to us. We'd like to help you. If not, we understand, but we're going to leave these challenges out there. So, Ben, I'm going to...
We've got 24 hours for you guys to work hard to try and figure out new ways to do business. When you're here, I want you to network with these other companies that are here. Like you saw, these guys have been in the industry for a long time. They've weathered the storm like you have. And you can, if you set yourselves up with strategic partnerships, it's only going to make your firm stronger. So, you know, we talked about asking questions. Normally I would go into asking questions, but the reality is you're all unique. You have unique clients, unique situations, and because of that, you're going to have unique questions. So whether it's, you know, from a broker bin team member, me, Rob, Rick, Wayne, Wallace, Dave, Bob, Renee, and there's a lot of us here, you can find us everywhere. If it's asking about specific questions, Ben, how am I more efficient on broker bin? If we can save you guys 10 minutes a day for all your different people, add up the value of just that answer. So approach us with your unique questions. Help us help you get better. Help us help you help your clients. If it's a question about, you know, Ben, who deals in Cisco? Who deals in new retail Cisco? Or use HP? You guys, we talk to you every single day. We know you guys. We've broken bread with you before. Come approach us. We have great companies sitting here in this room that we would love to recommend, and we want to see you all succeed. So over the next 24 hours, I challenge you guys to ask those questions and evolve and help us evolve. With that, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Rick Wassmer. Rick is a member of our BMG team. He's just got a few things to say to you guys here before we kick into Digital Next.
Yeah, in a couple minutes, we'll turn things over to Digital Next. I do have a USB here I need to take yours off, is that right? You know, it's funny too, because I did not get the chance to see Rob's presentation until the end of last week. And then, of course, he leaves off with Northrop Grumman, which, in fact, was my biggest client back in the 90s. And I got them through a Sun Ultra 10 motherboard request, and I sold them $12 million after that. So I'm very much a big believer in that type of marketing for that reason. It really only takes one time here to come through the door, and then, you know, that opportunity is obviously on you. As I said, Digital Next is going to speak here about online marketing, but I wanted to explain a little bit about BID Marketing Group and what it is that we do. So I love to ask this question. How many people use broker bin to search? Yeah, every hand should go up, right? How many of you use broker bin to enhance your business? Well, this is BID Marketing Group. We're, I refer to us as mad scientists because we are often trying to channel the world of this online marketing. Now, our specialty is not online marketing. What it is the foundation the data. And what I mean by the data is all of your uploads, all of that collective data, and more importantly, the intelligence behind that data. Now, when we look at BrokerBin, BIM Marketing Group sees BrokerBin as a portal. And it's a portal for your success, for your reseller online success. But it is just that, it's a portal. Just as Amazon is a portal, just as eBay is a portal, and then of course, the largest portal of them all is Google. Now, to understand just how big this portal is, look at the stats on BrokerBin. We have over 3 million unique products, and I mean counted one time between all your uploads worldwide on BrokerBin. Daily, we have 200,000 searches. How minute is that when we refer to the 34,000 searches performed per second on Google? So what we'll do for a client is take the data and we'll build the foundation. We don't want to just build you a website. We want to build a website to help you sell your product, your inventory, plus this data and the intelligence behind it. So what we do is build, obviously, e-commerce sites, a made-up term that I've developed here, crossover store. There's really no name for RFQ store, but if we want to generate leads and request for quotes and opportunities, that lead generation, this is a lot of what we do, informational as well. If you just want to have a services site per se, or you don't want to have a product intrinsic site, function.